Cops don't like me, so I don't like cops.
Badges don't grant extra rights. This is Cop Block Radio on the FPRN Radio Network. Here are your hosts, Eric, Adam, and Scott.
And welcome everybody to the Cop Block Radio Show for December 4th, 2013, live on FPRN Radio and syndicated across the interwebs. Tonight with you is Eric, and I have with me Adam, Scott, and our rogue Anton. How are you guys doing tonight?
Everybody all at once. I'm good, man. How's Eric?
Good. There we go. Type. Take it off mute, Bowie.
Welcome back.
Yep. So, we had... I don't know if we actually talked about it last show or not, but we put it out on the Cop Block Facebook page and whatnot, and we have some special guests with us tonight. We have Eric Shills, who is the campaign coordinator, and Dave Burrick, no, that's Bicking, chairman for the Committee of Professional Policing in Minneapolis. So welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you.
Did I say Schultz or Schultz?
Schultz.
Schultz, there we go. All
Yep,
right.
and Dave Bicking.
Right.
Dave Bicking.
That's right.
All right.
So I'm kind of scrolling through to find my notes here. So, like I said, you guys are from the Committee for Professional Policing, and you guys are out of Minneapolis, right?
Yeah, correct.
So can you give us a little rundown of what you guys do?
Yeah, so the Committee for Professional Policing is a fairly new political committee that was set up about a year ago, basically to facilitate a charter amendment campaign that we're working on right now. And basically the premise of this campaign is that currently in Minneapolis and in most cities across the country, the city is self-indemnified, meaning that when cops beat people up on the street or they're convicted of, misconduct, found guilty of that in court, and there's a lawsuit, the taxpayers pay for that lawsuit. So obviously there's just a lot of us in Minneapolis who think that's incredibly bogus, that, cops could be doing all these awful things and that taxpayers are paying for it. So the premise of our campaign is that cops each would have to buy professional liability insurance to cover those lawsuits and complaints so that they would be held individually accountable for those acts of brutality. So that's the basic premise of the campaign.
We have talked quite a few times on how much the city has shelled out over the past few years. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. In the past 7 years, Minneapolis has paid out $20 million in lawsuits for police brutality and misconduct. And we're talking a city of 380,000 people, so I think that's a pretty outstanding number. And what's worse is that the vast majority of those officers have not been disciplined. And one of the biggest things that we're talking about is, in what other area of employment can you cost your employer over $1 million in lawsuits and keep your job because of bad behavior? But that's exactly what's going on in Minneapolis. So yeah, not only is it a huge insult to all the people who've been hurt or who've been harassed, but it's just an insult to all the taxpayers. So
where do you guys stand currently in this project?
Well, we're in a process of petitioning to get this question on the ballot in the November 2014 election. So we're educating people and we're going out with petitions. We have to get about 15,000 signatures to have enough valid signatures to qualify for the ballot. One of the beauties of this is that the city government and politicians will just never stand up and do the right thing in the face of the police federation. And this is a method to enact this without the cooperation of the politicians or the city government. Because if we get enough signatures on this petition, there has to be a referendum, which would then change the city charter, which is like the city's constitution. And that would require the city to enact this new policy where our police would have their own insurance. So we've set up this committee. It was initiated by a local group Communities Against Police, Communities United Against Police Brutality, which has been around for about 14 years and has done a lot of good work in the area of policing here. But we've been frustrated year after year after year by city inaction or methods the city has set up supposedly to discipline the police that result in no discipline or virtually none. So we're stepping up to do something, different than what's been done before. There's a few precedents for it, but it's pretty much an innovative solution, and it's attracted attention from people across the country already, such as your radio show. So we're thrilled by that.
Yeah, we had, like I said, we've talked about all the payouts that Minneapolis has shelled out over the past few years, but we've also talked about why aren't cops personally liable for what they do when, like you said, every other profession, if you cost your employer $1 million in lawsuits, you're most likely not going to be working there anymore. And if you're like a doctor or nurse or something, you're personally liable for your actions, but for some reason police are not. So I think this is an awesome idea, and I really hope you guys succeed, because I would love to see this start to cascade throughout the country.
Yep.
Yeah, that's our hope. And police are city employees, and most city employees are not liable for what they do while they're at work. And in general, an employer should cover an employee who's doing the work that they're supposed to do for the city. But these cases that result in these lawsuits are when the police are going far beyond the scope of their duties for the city. They're violating city policy, they're violating laws, they're violating basic human decency, of course. But when a case arises like that, the city shouldn't be responsible, the taxpayers shouldn't be responsible when, the police do something like that. So it's not to cover, honest errors, accidents, that kind of thing that can happen from any employee, even a police officer of goodwill. But when the police officers know that they are going beyond their supposed duties and that they know that this is going to hurt people and they do it in a malicious fashion, then that is not the thing that it was ever intended for your employer to cover. So that's the difference, and it makes it a little hard because people feel, well, employees should be covered by their employer, and yes, in general they should. But you remember that most police cases where there's suits against police officers, if the police officer was following police policy, you'll never win that lawsuit anyhow. It's only generally where police have engaged in, say, excessive force. Not just force, but excessive force, meaning force beyond what they're allowed to do in the scope of their employment, that there even is a lawsuit. And those are exactly the cases where they should not be covered by the city. And the city, by state law and here and in most places, isn't actually required to cover employees when they go beyond the scope of their duty. But they elect to do that. Virtually always the city will come in and make the payment. And without the officers having their own insurance, that's a good thing, because otherwise the victim wouldn't get compensated. Most police officers can't come up with a $500,000 payment. So it's important, as it stands, for the city to come in and take that responsibility. But the responsibility ought to be on the officer. And what we're saying is, in cases where the city isn't required to cover them as an employee, they are prohibited from covering them, and the officer's insurance would take care of it. And because the officer has insurance, then the victim does have some way to get compensation.
All right. Now, I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Shoot.
What actually? Because I know we've discussed this idea many times before on the show and privately, and the idea of this idea of making them have liability insurance. What made you guys actually want to start doing this and gave you originally the idea to do something like this?
Well, it comes from several things. A fellow who used to be the chair of our local Civilian Review Authority, CRA, had the idea and the thought, again, pretty much like you have, and we've been developing it, and it's really come to a head because the city is more and more obviously to everybody in the position where it's clear that it isn't even trying to do anything to bring the police under control. And so we have a necessity for doing it because other methods have just failed over and over. We also have an unusual opportunity because the conversation on this has changed, and I think probably not just in Minneapolis, but we had an election, a city election just recently, and usually any issues of public safety are discussions of how do we get more cops on the street, how do we give them more tools, how do we crack down? And most of the discussion, most of the questions the candidates were asked this time were, how do we bring our police force under control? We've already won half the argument. Pretty much everybody agrees our police force is out of control and that the city isn't doing anything about it, which makes this a really opportune moment for us to bring forward this thing, which, obviously we're not the only ones who thought about it. I'm glad you've been thinking about it. But this is a perfect time to do it. And we said, we got to do it. It's a huge amount of work. It's a big effort we're working on. But I think we, in this kind of environment, I think we have a real chance of doing it. We're having no trouble getting people to sign the petition. I mean, it's tough to get enough petitioners out there to get all those signatures, but the people we approach, the great majority, are happy to sign it. They immediately say, yeah, we need something like that. So we are not having much trouble convincing, folks on the street that this is a good idea and that it should go on the ballot. But we'll have opposition, and that's a big project to do. So.
All right. Well, I got to do a quick reminder to any of our live listeners that our phone lines and Skype are open if you guys have any questions for Eric or, was it Dave, right?
Dave, that's right, yes.
Dave, okay. About this policy they're introducing. Our phone number is 567-314-9296. Or you can Skype call in FPRN Radio Live. You can add them on your contacts there. They'll add you back, and we'll get you on the show. Other than that, I know we have a few more questions ourselves. I think we're chatting here in the chat. We got quite a few questions ourselves, so we'll just keep going here.
Awesome.
Yeah, one thing that I was kind of curious about was, if this, the cop loses the court case, there's still fees that are associated with that, and where the people, the taxpayers would have to pay for the attorneys. Have you guys thought about anything involving having them pay for those additionally, or?
Right. The officer actually should be liable for that also. The city might provide representation up to the point where it's determined that the officer has personally gone beyond the boundaries. But up until then, the city might provide some attorneys at first. Our state law, and I have a feeling most state laws, require that the city provide representation as well as liability coverage for the officers. Again, but there is, like in every one of those different situations, there is a but in the state law, and that says when they are operating within the scope of their employment. And so if it's determined by the court that they are not, then it becomes the responsibility of the officer for both the liability costs and for the costs of his defense, and that would be paid by the insurance company. As in most suits, you don't know when you go in who's going to pay whose lawyer's fees. But in the end, that all gets sorted out as part of the judgment. Or very often there's a settlement long before it goes to court, and that would have the same effect as well.
So what would prevent the police from just giving themselves more compensation to pay for this?
We say in our language that the city may pay the base rate for the insurance, but that any additional costs due to the officer's own actions, in other words, complaints against that officer or previous settlements or court judgments against the officer, any additional would be premium caused by that would be paid by the officer himself. So the officer is not disciplined by having to pay the whole, $500,000 judgment, which he can't possibly, and the poor victim wouldn't get anything. But immediately they have to start paying higher premiums eventually, and the city is prohibited from paying those extra amounts of premium. It's in our language. And eventually, of course, they become uninsurable. It's just like car insurance. There's a base rate for, an average driver. And, of course, the rate would be different for an officer working on the desk versus an officer on the SWAT team, certainly. But that would be the base rate, and that would be paid by the city, just as your car insurance might vary depending on where you live or how many miles you drive. But then your car insurance also, obviously, if you have a couple of accidents, your premiums go up. And if you're a really bad driver, you'll never be able to afford insurance again. And that's what we hope will be the case with these. Well, we know would be the case with these officers. We can think of a dozen officers easily on the force that just would be absolutely uninsurable. No insurance company in their right mind would let these guys go out in the street with them covering them for liability.
All right. So my question is, do you guys have anything set up in the language that would keep them from subsidizing and causing the taxpayers to go ahead and pay for that anyways?
Yes, we basically do. The officers are required to maintain continuous coverage. Let me see. The city may reimburse officers for the base rate, but officers must be responsible for any additional costs due to personal or claims history. And that's where, under this, the city, the details of this, of course, would be negotiated, and the city would have to pass various ordinances as how this works. This is a basic provision in the city's charter, which is like the Constitution. But that prohibits the city from paying that extra. So I think we're pretty well covered on that. But it's been a tough job to come up with language which can't be subverted or worked around. And so we spent a lot of time on that, of course, because we know that so many very, very well-intentioned efforts to bring the police under control wind up being subverted. So those are important questions.
Excellent. Do you guys have anything that requires the chief of police to carry the same insurance as well?
Good question. I think he would be covered the same, or he or she, in our case it's a woman right now, would be covered pretty much in the same way. Yeah, and the chief of police can do. Hey, we had a police chief just about a year ago who actually walked across some people who were blocking entrance to a house that Occupy Homes was trying to save from eviction. The other officer stepped over them, and our chief of police, right on camera, right there, stepped right on the people's laps and on their shoulders to get into the house, just to be nasty. So I guess that could be an issue, couldn't it?
That's a good question.
Excellent. And then one more. Have you guys actually approached the chief and got him on board, or her on board with you doing this, or you guys doing this as more of a separately?
We have not yet really contacted the police. We do want to open up some conversations there, because for many officers, this would be a good situation for them, because officers do know that occasionally they could wind up being responsible under state law, but the reality is that it almost never happens. But they could be responsible, and this insurance covers them anyway. Also, I would love to see something just like, good drivers get a good driver discount on their insurance. I'd love to see it that the insurance was set up so that officers without complaints or settlements actually get some money back in their pocket. I think it would be a great thing. For most officers, I think this would be an actual benefit. And there are some who it would not. But we know that the city knows who the bad officers are and doesn't want to do anything about them. And the police union is the same. They know who the bad officers are, and they don't want to do anything about them because those bad officers are awfully useful for situations, like strikes and protests and things, but also much more commonly and every day for pushing crime into certain areas, for getting so-called undesirable elements out of other areas, for clearing up certain areas, for redevelopment, for helping, realtors, like the white flight from the cities, that was pushed by realtors for their interests, but the police, went along with that. Police who are supposedly out of control are actually very useful to some of the people who really run the city behind the scenes. So that I don't expect that we'll ever get buy-in from the majority of the politicians or from the police federation, but we certainly would welcome support from individual officers and from people of goodwill who want to see police doing the job that they're supposed to do.
So have you guys looked into any of the insurance models that say govern? I'm sure that armed security guards and whatnot, they're covered by liability insurance and whatnot. So what kind of requirements do those insurance companies require of the people that they're insuring, such as like education and further training, to make sure that the insurance company is protected from paying out all these lawsuits that may arise?
Yeah, that's an important point. Most security guards of that nature are insured entirely by their employer. And most of them don't have too many claims beyond that. They're usually not the cowboys we see on the police force. Obviously, as you know, there are exceptions. But in general, in those cases, if somebody costs their employer money, I have a feeling they get fired. So it's not quite the same as the, actual government-employed police force in that sense. There are some people who have insurance like that. We have just recently heard from some people, an ex-FBI officer out in California, about liability insurance that the individual FBI agents carried that protected them, and it was explicit, went for any incidents that are beyond the scope of their employment or beyond the scope of their duties as an FBI officer. So exactly the kind of things that this would cover. And apparently the FBI, it was fairly reasonable, and the FBI officers actually liked having this insurance and felt it was important to protect them. So there is a precedent there that we're looking into more. But this would, create a somewhat new market for insurance of this type. And we've had some discussions with some insurance companies, but that's continuing. And is a difficult area, as any time when you're tackling something new like this.
So there's a question out of the chat room. Somebody is asking if there is anything being addressed towards getting paid administrative leave, or basically a free vacation if you do something wrong.
Wow. Well, that's kind of separate from this proposal in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have a feeling the city would, even with this, keep the officer on paid administrative leave until it's settled, and there's a settlement or there's a judgment in court. But boy, that's something that's terribly abused also, and something, the organization that initiated this, Communities United Against Police Brutality, would be more involved in tackling something like that, which you're right, is a terrible abuse.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see that if they are found liable for whatever, that money is given back to the taxpayer, and the insurance would have to cover it.
That should certainly be part of the settlement. Yes. Yes, definitely. That would make sense. Just as the city might start off by representing them in the lawsuit, but if they're found guilty, then the insurance company has to pay those lawyer fees. And I think that paying back that pay while they're off duty is perfectly reasonable. We have very little guidelines to see how that goes, because no officer in Minneapolis ever winds up not going to work. We've had, as I say, millions of dollars in payouts. There are officers who have been responsible for over $1 million in claims, some of them while they were working off duty, and yet the city pays it anyway, and yet they are actually promoted. So a situation where an officer is fired or even criminally charged, heaven forbid, based on what they've done on duty, is virtually unheard of. So there really isn't much of a model for that, at least here in Minneapolis, and I suspect most other places. There are some officers who are fired, but most of them are fired for things like drinking on the job, or some criminal behavior off the job, or just being late for work, and all the other kind of things like any of us could get fired for. That happens. But fired for misconduct that affects the public, virtually unheard of.
Now I know we got at least one more question out of the chat. Was hold on, my mouse isn't working here. Okay, what would you recommend for others that wanted to start up something like this in their state or their city? How would they go about starting this and drafting something like this?
Well, I think the first big thing to do would be to try to connect with local organizations in that state that are tackling like police brutality, or who are advocating for police accountability. Because other than that, I think with that, all that experience of that activism, like Dave said, it was several minds coming together who've been working on this issue, saying, well, what could be some preventative measures? So that's something I would suggest. But
yeah. Also, of course, I'd suggest that they visit our website, which is cfppmpls.wordpress.com. And CFPP Committee for Professional Policing, MPLS, of course, is short for Minneapolis. So cfppmpls.wordpress.com, and get some information there. There's contact information for us, of course. Now, we're somewhat limited in how much assistance we can give to other people, because obviously we have a big uphill battle here right in Minneapolis. And the best thing we can do for people is to get this in practice here and show that it works, as I believe it will. But yes, we are certainly looking for other people who are interested, people who have ideas that can help us, bouncing this back and forth between different cities with some different state law structures and different experiences, I think would help develop the idea for a more nationwide rollout. And we've been really impressed with, we put a couple of articles out locally, and suddenly we're hearing from people across the country with questions and interest in this. So I think this is something that could really take off, and it's great to see. Every city, we are all. I used to be on the local Civilian Review Authority here, and I even attended the national conference at one point. What a bunch of frustrated people. I mean, there are so many people who are trying to do something, and it is so incredibly frustrating. Just stymied at everything. Not appointing people to the commission. The chief never does the discipline they recommend. Just on and on and on. That makes it so hard for any kind of civilian of oversight of law enforcement to actually work, in the sense of actually disciplining officers to the point where the behavior of the police force as a whole is changed, and that those particularly bad officers are never seen on the street again and are fired as they should be. So this has been a tremendously difficult thing for anybody to accomplish. So I think people are looking for a new idea out there.
Wonderful. Well, we got about a minute left, and I think we're out of questions. So if you have any parting words for our listeners.
I definitely would like to encourage everybody to go to our website, which Dave mentioned, cfppmpls.wordpress.com. There's a lot more detailed information on there about what we're doing, how we're doing it, and how folks can get involved. There's also the option of donation if folks are across the country but would still like to support our campaign. And other than that, definitely anybody feel free to email us, give us a call. We have all our contact information on the website if there are any questions or concerns. So we'd be really happy to talk to folks.
And thank you for having us on the program and for the work that you do. We're all working together on a common problem here.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. That's Eric Schultz and David Bicking from the Community for Professional Policing out of Minneapolis. And I'll put the link to their website in the show notes, so that will be up probably sometime mid-afternoon tomorrow.
Yeah, I just threw it up in the chat, so it's available there. And I wanted to give a quick thanks to them, too, for responding back to my email that I sent them and coming on the show. So, other than that, Eric, you want to take us out?
Yeah, so Yeah, it was great to have them on, and we have plenty to talk about after the break. So stick with us. You're listening to the Cop Block Radio Show on FPRN.
In 1997, a high school shooting was stopped by a vice principal with a gun. In 1998, a middle school shooting was ended by a neighbor with a gun. In 2002, a terrorist attack was stopped by a school guard and a teacher with a gun. After September 11th, pilots began carrying guns to protect their passengers. Let's give our schools and teachers the same option. Sign the petition at defendschools.com.
Hi, I'm Trevor Moore. Due to the recent revelations that in order to fight terrorism, the NSA has been using a secret court order to spy on every single Verizon and AT&T customer, Americans have become outraged and concerned about their rights to privacy. But along with that concern comes a feeling of hopelessness. I mean, what can we do? Vote in new leaders? Well, the problem is that during an election, each candidate pretends to not be an asshole. Then when they get the job, they reveal that they've actually been a complete asshole this entire time. No, elections are of no use. The only way to fight back against our country's excessive wiretapping and data mining is to make it irrelevant. That's why we're launching Operation Everyone Talk Like a Terrorist all the time. If we all openly discuss terrorist plots in each of our phone conversations, then eavesdropping on those phone conversations becomes pointless. It's simple. We just need to work it into our daily vernacular. For example, instead of saying, "I love you," you could describe a terror attack. The larger the scale, the more you love the person.
Hi, Mom. I just got out of school. Can you pick me up?
I'll be there in 15 minutes. We use a truck bomb to blow up the Brooklyn Bridge.
I'm mailing anthrax to Pierce Morgan.
Or nonsense about God's will being great could mean affirmative.
Hey, man, they have a 7:30 show, and do you think you can make it in time?
God is merciful and his love is unchanging. Did you already get me a ticket?
And those are just a few examples. You can make up your own. Have fun with it. But it's time for us to stand up and protect our rights. Because those assholes aren't going to.
At Damari Nolo Outfitters, we view the outdoors as our home, not a harsh wilderness. Our gear is chosen for adventure, not just in our backyard, but in the vast expanse of our amazing planet. Damari Nolo Outfitters carries the essential gear and tools you will need to live the empowering mindset of self-reliance. Our products are chosen especially for their durability and quality, and are carefully tested by our staff and associates. Our promise to you is we never offer any item for sale we don't use ourselves, so we can offer only what we know to be the best. Our online store makes it simple to browse through our high-quality lines of clothing, knives, tools, load carry gear, and accessories. We are committed to offering you the best American-made equipment on the market, a promise you'll see as we continually add new products. For more information about our products and blog posts to help you learn more about self-reliance and equipment, please visit www.damarinolo.com. That's DOMARI-NOLO.com. Damari Nolo, chosen for survival and adventure.
Hi, I'm Steve.
I'm Irene.
I'm Lisa.
My name is Tom.
I'm a graphic designer.
College freshman.
Stay-at-home mom with a full-time job.
Scholar on social policy and a barista.
And I'm just like you.
I'm an Obama supporter.
I support President Obama.
But the president needs your help.
Our president can't launch into another war without you. And remember, we promise to support him no matter what.
Together, we can do it.
That's why we here at the Americans for Whatever Barack Obama Wants, Did You Know He's Friends with Jay-Z, have launched a Kickstarter campaign to fund World War III.
And America is dead-ass broke. So our goal is to raise $1.6 trillion on behalf of the U.S. government.
That's where you come in.
Even a small donation would make all the difference.
When I first saw the president speak in 2008, in a YouTube clip posted to my Facebook page, I knew he was going to be right all the time. So I support World War III and IV, and any moon war the president may want to start.
I mean, there is no way that he or the cabal of corporate interests, spy agencies, and shadow bankers that tell him what to do would ever mislead us. A $25 donation will get you a piece of rubble from a war-torn Middle Eastern country kissed by Senator Lindsey Graham.
A $100 donation gets you a day pass to leave your local refugee camp.
You'll probably end up in a refugee camp, but it'll have free Wi-Fi.
So please, help us reach our goal of $1.6 trillion so we can make World War III a reality. Why? Because Obama.
Because Obama.
Thanks for listening to FPRN. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to start your own show with FPRN, advertise with us, or donate to the network or to your favorite shows, check out our website at www.fprnradio.com.
And welcome back to the Cop Block Radio Show live on FPRN and syndicated across the interwebs. And I'd like to give a big shout out to one of our sponsors, Sons of Liberty Mint. They make silver quarter-ounce pieces, and they now have silver 1-ounce pieces, and it's cool because they're nice and square. So they, I guess they're a little easier to maintain if they're square, because the round, they kind of go everywhere. But they got the quarter-ounce pieces, and you can find them at sonsoflibertymint.com, and that's SUNS of libertymint.com. Go check them out. So, did you guys, now that we have our guests off the line, do you guys have anything you would like to talk about tonight?
Eric, when don't we have lots to talk about?
There's never any shortage of articles.
No, we've got just tons, and I found more in the
shenanigans.
last couple hours right before the show.
I figured I'd find out what you guys want to talk about.
All right.
But I guess actually first, Scotty, why don't you give in the call out info?
Oh, damn it.
Oh, he wasn't ready for it.
I moved the
He's
iPad,
not
man.
ready.
I can't remember my own phone number. I seriously can't. I'm like, what's my phone number again? I don't call myself.
It's the same thing I deal with.
I take pills for my brain so I can, remember shit. But I lost them about a month ago. So
Lost them about a month ago.
Yeah.
Were they
go figure.
fried?
The call-ins 567-314-9296, and then hit the 1234 and then the pound. But we would actually prefer if you call using Skype. And if you add FPRN Radio Live, they'll add you back, and you can call in that way. It's definitely preferred method of calling, but we encourage everybody to call in. That's the purpose of doing it live.
And yeah, and we, as you said, we are live. So if you are listening to this on the podcast, well, you should listen on Wednesday nights at 9:30 p.m. at fprnradio.com, and then you can call in because that's when we're live.
Do it live!
All right, Adam, you had something you were about to talk about.
Oh yeah, I was gonna bring up the recent story that I found today of the DC police officer that was arrested for taking pornographic pictures of a young girl. That oh, hold on, I have ads playing on my computer here. So basically, I know Tom from the TGB report touched on this earlier today. It was good stuff. I think he made some good points on it. But basically, we've got Officer Mark Washington was arrested hours after showing up at this little girl's house that was apparently missing. Spoke with her privately without the parents around. In her bedroom, asked the 15-year-old girl to remove her clothing so that he could take pictures of what I can't remember what he called it. Pictures of where did he go? Injuries she may have sustained while missing. Basically asked her to take her top off, then her bra off, and then her pants off. Kept these photos on his telephone, left. The little girl told her parents. They called the police. It went out over dispatch. He saw the picture, or saw the dispatch report, deleted them. They recovered them. and was then arrested. We also have the news clip from this, so we'll have the producer pull that up and play that. It'll explain a little better than I'm doing right now. So, producer, you can start that now.
And we begin with a news alert in the district tonight where a police officer is under arrest charged with a horrible crime. Thanks for joining us tonight at 5. I'm Tony Perkins.
And I'm Laura Evans. Today, D.C. police charged Officer Mark Washington with the production of child pornography. It all stems from an alleged incident with a teenager over the weekend while the officer was on the clock.
Fox 5's Paul Wagner attended the officer's first court appearance in D.C. federal court today and joins us live there with the latest details. Paul.
Well, Tony and Laura, this is the way D.C. police are telling the story in a court affidavit tonight. Over the weekend, the mother of this 15-year-old girl called police to report her missing. This officer, Mark Washington, responded to that report. He went to the mother's apartment. He took the report. He filed that report. The next day, he heard that the girl had returned home. He then, on duty, in uniform, in a police cruiser, showed up at the apartment unannounced. He was not asked to go there. When he went to the apartment, he asked the mother if he could speak with the girl in private. According to the affidavit, Officer Washington took out a digital camera and while in the teen's bedroom told her he needed to document her injuries. She said she had none, but the officer persisted, telling her it was procedure, and the teen removed all of her clothes as the uniformed officer took photos. After leaving the apartment, the 15-year-old told her mother what happened, and she picked up the phone and called 911. Minutes later, a message from the dispatcher to all units in the 7th District said an officer had just been in a home taking naked pictures of a 15-year-old girl. The affidavit says Officer Washington read that message in his police cruiser and began deleting the photos he took. However, investigators were able to recover the photos, along with numerous other naked photos of unidentified females, 2 of which, according to the affidavit, appeared to be minors. Now, earlier today, D.C. Police Chief Kathy Lanier issued a statement which reads, "We invest a great amount of time and effort to ensure that we are hiring the right people, and we continue to proactively monitor integrity across the department. But to learn of an allegation of this kind against a person who has sworn to protect our children, it is both shocking and disturbing. We are fortunate that someone came forward to alert us of this behavior to ensure that we prevent future victims." Now, in court today, Officer Washington came in wearing a hooded sweatshirt and jeans. He was not in his police uniform. He said very little to the judge other than he didn't have a lawyer. There was then a meeting at the bench. The judge wanted to speak with a couple of people, including the marshals. And then at that point, he said that he would hold a detention hearing for the officer on Thursday. That will be Thursday afternoon, and the officer will remain locked up until then. Tony and Laura.
Very upsetting case. Paul Wagner tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, so basically this story just kind of sickens me, and I'm sure it sickens everybody else. The blatant disregard to law that this gentleman has obviously shown that he doesn't care. Obviously does not deserve to be a police officer in any way, shape, or form. Especially with the fact that he was found when they took his phone from him. He had other pictures of what appears to be other minors naked on his cell phone that he had tried to delete and get rid of. So it's disgusting. And then the fact that this would happen in D.C. I mean, this is the center of our country, basically, of where this starts, and it's going on there. It's disgusting. And I know everybody else has got lots to say. So go ahead.
I was just going to say something about the fact that what the hell is the parent doing? I don't know. The first problem would be that she called the police for help whenever her child turned up missing. But why would she let a grown man in a room alone with her child, her daughter, that's 15 years old? Why would you do that? You are an asshole.
I know, that's pretty stupid, isn't it? Yeah. I don't know what she was thinking about that. Though I think that might actually be a legitimate use of police for missing persons, but not in the way they went about it.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of conflicted on that. You know, what did you do before you called the police? I don't know. But in the end, the big thing is you let a grown ass man with a gun and a badge in a room with your, 15-year-old daughter.
Don't forget
Seriously,
the camera.
you're an idiot.
So it sounds like he is in
and
lockup
his
though right now.
A badge, a gun, a camera, a grown-ass man, and your child who just went missing, now alone, without an invitation in the room. What did you exactly expect to happen?
I don't think any of us have anything to say to that.
We're all speechless there, aren't we?
Yeah.
I think they need to make sure that they charge him with attempting to destroy evidence, because you get pulled over and you got a joint and you eat that thing. Now you've destroyed evidence, and everything it says, he seen the call go out and started destroying evidence at that point. Luckily, it was able to be recovered, but they need to make sure that that charge doesn't fall through the net.
If they're gonna, throw everything against the wall on everyone else, they have to. You're absolutely right.
Well, not only that, I mean, this is in the chat too, calling it procedure. From what I understand, procedure or not, that's a minor. That person has no obligation to talk to the police officer privately whatsoever. This is a minor. You can fully, you don't have to let the police officer talk to your child alone. This is a minor. They technically, wouldn't they need some sort of a adult representation?
Well, not only that, but if it's procedure, then a female officer should have been called in and explained to the parents this is what's going on, and had the parents present during the photography, which probably shouldn't have happened at home, but maybe down at the station or whatever.
Yeah, well, you figure if it's at the station or whatnot, it might actually be used for some sort of legitimate purpose, but
yeah,
at home, I don't think so.
Yeah. The chat also says most adults would assume it's safe because it's a cop. Well, I think most of us are learning very quickly how unsafe cops can be. That's what I have to say to that.
That is why this show exists.
That's right. That's why we're here.
Absolutely. I mean, currently it's actually more safer just to go find some thug off the corner and be like, hey, bro, I need some help.
Yeah. They're probably going to help you out better than any officer would.
Less likely to get shot. Or beat up, maced.
I wonder how long she was gone.
They said she was gone
3
for like
days.
a day, didn't they? That's what it said.
Did it say 3 days?
I think so.
3 days? Okay.
She probably ate some of my brownies and passed out for a weekend.
Although now I might be thinking a totally different story on the 3 days.
That or not, they said he wasn't requested to come to the home, so he did it out of his own thing. So basically, that sounds to me as if he's a pedophile who was watching for it. She showed up and was like, "Ooh, hey, I can go over there and take pictures of her."
Well, it just goes to show that he had malicious intent to start.
Yeah.
Oh, she's home. Sweet. I'm going to go get me some pictures.
Mm-hmm. That's really what it's looking like. Is he wasn't called there, and he went out of it to take those pictures. He didn't do it out of the goodwill of his heart. It wasn't, oh, I'm gonna go make sure she's okay, and then he was like, oh, well, while I'm here, I'm gonna happen to take naked pictures of her.
Well, yeah, it wasn't she got back and she reported that she had been abducted and beaten or tortured or anything. So where's the idea of I have to photograph your injuries? There was never anything in the beginning to go, she was injured in the first place.
Mm-hmm. You guys got any more on that?
Nope.
No, I'm good.
So there is legislation coming out, or at least seeking in Nevada, to reduce the number of dog deaths inflicted by police. Have you guys read this story?
I have not yet.
No, but while everybody reads up on that, I am curious, what's the big thing that cops have against dogs all of a sudden? And it's over just the last year, it seems like cops have just come out and been like, well, the people already know we don't like them, so now we're going to not like dogs too. I mean, how are dogs becoming a primary target of law enforcement?
Well, it's an officer safety issue.
Yeah. I like that excuse. Seems to be used very commonly now.
I don't care about your safety. I care about myself.
Yeah. They're not supposed to be concerned of their safety. That's not what a police officer was originally intended for. Wasn't
and
for
it's
them
a dog.
to be scared.
It's ridiculous that they freak out at these dogs so quickly. It's insane.
Mm-hmm. Like, really, what is the dog going to do? Bite you? You'll probably live. Unless the dog, like, really tears you apart, probably not going to die. And even at that, you have a firearm. Use it after it attacks you.
Right.
we've all
Just because
grown
it
up
looks
knowing-
mean doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
We've all grown up knowing that, everyone's always, dogs can sense bad people. Well, why do you think the dogs are attacking the cops in the first place? Stop being a douchebag and the dogs will stop biting you.
Right. If they stop trying to
good one.
act all, I rule this area and try to intimidate the dogs, and the dogs are just going to lash out. But this is out of Nevada, Carson City, where a owner, Sarah Rose Hatch, she had her dog Freckles shot, and she paid more than $1,000 in vet bills, but in the end, the dog ended up dying anyways. And now there is a group called Justice for Freckles who are demanding mandatory training for dealing with dogs for all police.
I'm looking at this article here. I got to pull it up in front of me here. And it's got a picture of the girl and her dog. And this is it says it's a 45-pound Australian Shepherd. This is not an intimidating dog.
That doesn't even look like a 45-pound dog. I got a cat that big.
Yeah, this dog does not look intimidating at all.
I mean, it might polish your boots or get your ankles, but I mean, it's threatening to like a 5-year-old child, maybe. Quick, shoot it. It's going to hump my leg.
Yeah, I mean, the dog in the picture is licking her face. I mean, this is like a dog that obviously was not a threat. And it says right in the article that the dog would have never harmed anyone. So I don't see their reasoning for shooting this animal.
I have to disagree. That dog would totally destroy and murder any dinner that you put on the table and not look.
Dinner, not you.
Exactly. It's dangerous to an unsupervised plate of food. It might dry hump a child, but it poses no threat to a trained, bulletproof vest wearing law enforcement officer.
What's really messed up is a lot of these shootings happen on the property of the owner. It's like, well, you stepped on foot of the property, or you went through the gate that has a big "Beware of Dog" sign on it before you opened the damn thing and walked in.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. The sign says "Beware of Dog," not roaming target practice.
It's just freaking ridiculous. So,
it is, isn't it?
I mean, I go up to random dogs all the time. If there's one roaming around, we'll see if we can get it, because usually it's lost and needs to be brought home or something. And I don't have a problem. So I don't know why police suddenly have these problems with trying to encounter dogs and diffuse the situation. It doesn't take a whole lot to not get bit. But that's just me.
No, in the article, it says at the bottom here, underneath all the ads, it says, heck could get her wish. State Senator David Parks from Las Vegas has requested legislation to require police to go through training and dealing with dogs to avoid shooting of people's prized pets.
I don't even think they should look at it as prized pets. Anybody who's got an animal of any kind, that's a part of the family. When you leave, you think about them. Well, most people, you think about them, you make sure they're okay, they get sick, you treat them like a member of the family. It's not just, he broke my expensive vase that grandma gave me or nothing. You shot a member of my family. It's like the cop rolling in and just shooting grandma because she's sitting there on the porch knitting.
And there have been dogs who have been just sitting on the porch, minding their own business and getting shot. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah,
exactly. Like the other article of the cops who have threatened to come back to the guy's house when he's not expecting it, to kill the dog and ransack his house because they wouldn't let him in. I mean, what did the dog do? The dog didn't say, "Hey, you can't come in here and look around." It was the owner.
And nice segue. I guess, do we have that clip queued up? I'm not sure if we do. It was the website that we didn't have the clip for.
Well, we just kind of break into the article until we get the clip pulled up here.
been terrified since an encounter with police on Monday evening. He says officers came to his home in southeast Kansas City looking for people he'd never heard of, and when he refused to let them inside, he said things turned ugly. Eric Crinian, a lawyer, heard a loud banging at his door Monday night. He was instantly alarmed since a neighbor's house was robbed a few weeks ago, so he grabbed a crowbar. Crinian says 3 police officers were outside his house.
I open the door a little bit wider, and he sees that I have something in my hand, so he pulls his gun, tells me to put down whatever I've got, and then come out with my hands up. So I do.
They wanted to know where 2 guys were. Crinian later found out police believe they violated parole.
And I said, I have no idea who you're talking about. I've never heard of these people before.
To prove it, he says police asked to search his house. Crinian refused multiple times. He said they needed a warrant. Then he says one police officer started threatening him, saying,
if we have to go back and get a warrant, we're going to come back when you're not expecting it. We're going to park out in front of your house where all your neighbors can see. We're going to bust down your door with a battering ram. We're going to shoot and kill your dogs, who are my family, and then we're going to ransack your house looking for these people.
If that was the case and those are the things that were said, I would think those would be inappropriate.
John Hamilton is an associate professor of criminal justice at Park University. He says having a warrant is always the best way for police to search a home, and while the threats aren't illegal, they might violate a department policy.
I just think it's a dangerous way to do policing because it makes it tenuous when you appear in front of the court in a case like that.
Now, Crinian says he's never had a problem with police before in his life, and he still has a great amount of respect for the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. However, he says he wants the situation investigated, so he filed an Office of Community Complaints report. A spokesman for the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department says he can't discuss ongoing OCC reports, but they are investigated internally.
Kansas City is taking another step to try to land.
That's funny how you guys just blew up the chat as soon as that part hit.
Yeah, so
all of us were like that.
I mean, one of the things that they said in that was that the threats were probably not illegal. Really? There's no way that those were not illegal. That is threatening at every single level. So I don't know how that would be a legal thing to do. And another thing that is really sad was the Stockholm syndrome that this guy seems to have, and still has admiration for the police force in his area.
Yeah,
even after
I don't
get
the fact that they're calling it not illegal to threaten, but I'm like, okay, well, you threatened to technically shoot your dog. Technically, in the way I look at that, that's threatening with a deadly weapon or intimidation with a deadly weapon. And then Anton brings a good thing. He said that's
harass him.
It's premeditated murder, technically, is what Anton was saying.
It's like blackmail.
Yeah, the person that came and said that it's not threats aren't illegal. Yeah, he's not going to say that when the cops are threatening to shoot him and his dog and his family and his neighbor and anybody else.
That's not the guy who was even talking. It was a law professor who said that.
Yeah,
Well, that law professor will change his tune as soon as the cop threatens him.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
Yep.
That law professor sounds more like a keyboard warrior.
But I mean, that opens up all types. It's not even about the dog. It's that he refused to let the cops search his house when they had no right to be there to begin with. So, what the fuck is that all about?
I have no idea. It sounds like some serious cops on some serious power trips and ego trips that think that they're above the law and they can do whatever the hell they want and threaten anyone and everyone to intimidate them to make them cooperate.
That's how they get their police. That's how they operate now. Like, I'm going to get a warrant. I'm going to get a drug dog. I'm going to give you a cavity search. That's standard operating procedure.
Give me your ID.
Yeah.
Right, and
I'm going to throw you in jail.
They hand the warrants out like nothing. I mean, there's like no cause for warrants these days. You get a warrant for whatever you want. Oh, he sneezed funny, so must be guilty of something.
If you continue to blow those bubbles, I'm going to arrest you for assault.
So Bubbles, Mr. Officer Bubbles. Oh man. Sorry, that just makes me laugh every time I hear it.
It's a detergent.
Well, you know, pigs are unclean, so.
That's right. We've got to wash the pigs.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say we get into another one, but we're coming up close on break, so I guess we'll ramble for a minute here.
I have another dog article that's really messed up that we'll talk about when we come back, though.
That's a Horizon. It's a detergent. You'll be going into custody.
Man, that was a little delayed drop, but good enough.
It worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's we rambled enough and caused enough filler, so we
don't want to go to break now.
Yeah. Well, stick with us. We have more dog stories to talk about because the police seem to hate dogs and their owners. So stick with us. You're listening to the Copblock Radio Show on FPRN.
Mr. President, members of Congress, you've been making a lot of noise about taking our guns away. But you might want to review history. 1835, Gonzales, Texas Territory. The authorities wanted to confiscate the big gun that protected that colony. You know what the people said? Come and take it. Because they were willing to fight for their freedom and their guns. So are we.
Come and take it if you want it. Come and take it if you think you can. Come and take it, but I warn you, you'll have to pry it from my cold dead hands. We want the freedom that God gave us, so you best not cross that line. If you want this gun, you gotta come through us and take it.
One shot at a time. Just like Gonzales, we're keeping our guns.
What's better than silver? Free silver, of course, which is what you'll get by partaking in Sons of Liberty Mint's weekly silver giveaways. It's fun, it's easy, and it's your chance to win 4 fine silver quarters. That's 1 ounce of .999 fine silver from Sons of Liberty Mint. All you have to do is guess the close of spot price each week for your chance to win. Visit sonsoflibertymint.com/contest for more details. That's SUNS, sonsoflibertymint.com. Those of us looking to conduct our trades in silver have a common problem: finding the right size silver bar to trade with. 100-ounce silver bars are often too big. 10-ounce bars are still often too big. Even traditional 1-ounce rounds are hard to trade for small items. Don't worry, Sons of Liberty Mint is here to help. Their fine silver quarters are made using .999 fine silver, 1/4 troy ounce in weight, and are square in shape. They are unlike your traditional silver rounds, not only in shape, but also in divisibility. Sons of Liberty Mint's fine silver quarters are 4 pieces per 1 troy ounce, meaning you get more purchasing power with Sons of Liberty Mint's fine silver quarters. So, increase your silver stack and your purchasing power. Head over to sonsoflibertymint.com and start stacking today. That's SUNS, sonsoflibertymint.com.
Obamacare. Fun. Cool. YOLO. At Obamacare, we believe in saying the words affordable health care so that young people will love us and sign up like lemmings. Sure, you pay 2.5% of your income in penalties, but young people don't have to worry about that because you don't have a job. Work sucks. That's why we at Obamacare want to trade your full-time job for a part-time one. So you'll have more time for fun things, like watching millionaire celebrities tweet about how affordable we are. Obamacare. Just like guys enjoy premium leather seats, so too you'll enjoy paying triple the healthcare premiums out of your new part-time salary. Speaking of guys, ever been on a mandate before? At Obamacare, we're full of mandates. But don't worry, big corporations get exempt, so you don't have to. It's fun paying for things you don't even use. Yeah, you work out, stay healthy. But come on, brah. Someone's got to pay for people who smoke, drink 85-ounce sodas, and live in a Barcalounger. So enjoy your premium hikes, young people of America, because everyone loves hikes. Obamacare. If millionaire celebrities can afford us, Why can't you?
A message from the White House Office of Obamacare. Propaganda to get young people to love us and sign up like lemmings.
To think something so small could control you.
And everything you do.
When your life and all you love are on the line.
The RFID chip is always with you, threatening your privacy, causing severe risk to your health and personal safety, and killing you if you do not obey rogue government demands.
Because I want to increase my risk of cancer.
Because I want to live in a cash-free society.
Because now the government is looking out for us. Because I have the mark of the beast, but it doesn't have me.
Ask your doctor how to get your chip implanted today.
Because we want to track your every move.
Thanks for listening to FPRN. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to start your own show with FPRN, advertise with us, or donate to the network or to your favorite shows, check out our website at www.fprnradio.com.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Thank you very, very much for letting us little kids live here. It really, really was nice of you. You didn't have to do it. And it's really not creepy to have little kids mindlessly recite this anthem every day and pledge their life to a government before they're old enough to really think about what they're saying. This is not a form of brainwashing. This is not a form of brainwashing. This is not a form of brainwashing. This is really the greatest country in the whole world. All the other countries suck. And if this country ever goes to war, as it often wants to do, I promise to help go and kill all the other countries' kids. God bless Johnson & Johnson. God bless GE. God bless Citigroup. Amen.
Very good, kids. Now come and get your Ritalin.
And we are back on the Cop Block Radio Show live on FPRN and syndicated across the interwebs. And we figured we'd play in with the Pledge of Allegiance, except slightly modified.
That was awesome. That's all I have to say.
It was pretty legit.
I haven't heard that before.
definitely-
That was so awesome.
That's awesome. Josie had that the other day. So along those lines, I went out to this restaurant the other day for lunch at work, and it was it had just opened, and it must be like a military-esque owner operator or something like that. And they played the national anthem. Sorry, they played the national anthem at noon, and it was like the most awkward thing for me because it was like I didn't really want to stand up. I was like enjoying my meal, and everybody like stands up and like puts their hand over their heart, and I was just like, wow, this is ridiculous. It was so weird to have it in a restaurant like that.
Was it really creepy?
It was for me, apparently not for them.
What was their actual reason for doing so?
I don't know. God bless America or some bullshit like that.
Was it like just because was it like their grand opening day or something? Or?
No, they do it every day apparently.
They do it
from
every
now on.
day.
I'll be out of there by noon.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's like, I think it's owned by like it was like all military themed inside. Like there was like Army, Navy, football helmets and stuff like that. So I don't know what the deal was. I was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna make a note of coming in here after noon.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. Our producer's totally screwing with me right now.
As usual.
Yeah, he always does. Always screws with me.
So there's one more dog article that we had. It's out of Alabama, and this article was really messed up. It says Officer Mike Aswell is suing Deborah Bosch, a woman who called the Tuscaloosa Police Department and complained after Aswell shot a dog 4 times, executing it. Deborah is Aswell's neighbor and apparently witnessed him killing the dog, who belonged to another neighbor who was not home at the time. Aswell's attorney claims in a complaint that Deborah's comments after the incident caused Aswell to feel loss of sleep and emotional pain, among others, and Aswell is seeking $10,000 of Deborah's money. So this lady called in on Officer Aswell, who shot a neighbor's dog, and he is suing her for complaining about it.
Really? He killed her dog, and she complained, and so he's suing her?
Yes. He's saying that he feels a loss of sleep and emotional pain. Though he was the one doing the shooting in the first place. Shouldn't she be the one with having some emotional pain because she had to witness it?
Well, yeah. I mean, no wonder he's not sleeping. He killed the dog. I mean, he's gonna feel that's his own remorse there. It's screwing with him. So you shouldn't have shot the dog. That's what your body's telling you.
So Aswell is claiming that the dog was vicious and running towards him. That's all. It's running right for us. But the dog's owner said that Sonic, an 8-year-old disabled chocolate lab, has never acted aggressive.
Disabled.
So the freaking cop shot a disabled 8-year-old dog.
Wow. And now he can't sleep at night. It's her fault.
So, yeah, a police officer shot the innocent dog 4 times. He shouldn't be on the police force because I don't think he's a stable person. That's what the owner had said. I'm trying to find out why he's suing the neighbor. Did she say something?
I don't know. It says...
Oh, here we
he
go.
Wants
There's
10 grand? He wants 10 grand.
Yeah. So according to the lawsuit, these are some of the statements that Deborah made about Aswell after he gunned down the dog. The dog didn't attack him. The dog didn't even growl. For some reason, that's sue-worthy, apparently. He covered up the shooting by calling the city of Tuscaloosa police instead of the county sheriff's department, which apparently is supposed to be protocol. The dog wasn't aggressive. He didn't even hear a bark. So, yeah.
This is after it says further down. It says that he threatened to shoot the dog and told a family member he would kill her dog.
Oh yeah, that's to Deborah's dog. He's threatened to kill her dog and told a family member that he would kill her dog. So Aswell has actually threatened to kill
another dog.
Deborah's dog, but Aswell's suing Deborah.
So he's going to sue this lady, threaten to kill someone else's dog, and then probably sue them too.
How is a judge even hearing this?
Sorry, what's that?
I'm thinking right now we need to make it required that all judges have a dog so they understand what's going on here. I want to sue this cop for $15,000 for the stress of having to deal with his ignorance.
No kidding, right? Gee, he doesn't have a case. The lady probably does, though.
Maybe we can get a class action against him.
Maybe we should file a class action lawsuit against this guy. Be like, yeah, you see what we had to deal with because of this?
because of his actions, people are filling up my Facebook feed, and it's causing me all kinds of anxiety.
Yeah, can't handle this attention.
While we're at it, we'll also name and include that Mace cop too that just won money. He started all this.
Yeah, I was talking about that dude earlier. That guy was rolling like 120K deep a year, I think.
I just don't even understand how the hell he was making that.
Well, yeah, how does a cop make that? I mean, doctors make that kind of money, and he sure in the hell didn't spend no 6 years in college for that. He might have spent 3 years in high school.
Yeah, he didn't spend as much time as someone trying to get a beautician's license in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I know of no normal police officer that makes that much money.
I don't even
At
think
all.
a police chief makes that much money.
I know, but then you go
$120,000
through the budget, and they're like, "We don't have enough money, or we don't have the money to hire additional police officers." It's like, well, you had like 8 times the amount of overtime than you need additional police officers. So you're obviously wasting it all on overtime and paying heavier hourly rates versus what you could do just hiring another police officer. Like I was looking at Ware, New Hampshire, in their budget, and there were cops that their base pay was something like $55,000 to $60,000, but they had $35,000 in overtime. It's like, why aren't you hiring somebody else if you have to spend that much in overtime? And that's just one cop.
Absolutely. For $120,000, you could fire one douchebag cop and hire 3 decent cops.
Exactly. I mean, geez. No wonder they suck, because they're friggin' working, 90 hours a week. Maybe that's why they fly off the handle so much. Because they're like, God damn, you keep me away from my family and my job. Wait a minute, this is my job. But,
well, we can take their jobs.
It's freaking ridiculous.
So I just pulled up, I did a quick Google search to find out for Spokane here. And it says the annual median salary pay for a standard police officer, patrol officer in Spokane, is $51,000 a year.
But how much overtime do they usually get?
Let's see here. Hold on, I'm checking with bonuses and everything here. At least I'm trying here. It's still, even with salaries plus bonuses, is still $51,000.
Jeez.
Yeah. That's a standard patrol officer. And basically, it's got that's the like I said, that's the mean or median. Hold on, it's loading again.
No wonder at $120,000 a year. No wonder he was carelessly wasting mace. He could afford to buy it all. I mean, you don't go spend $50,000 on mace and then don't use it.
Yeah. Looks like our high is 68,000 and our low is 34.
Jeez, is it like the property room clerk that gets the 34?
I don't know. Maybe that's starting rate or something.
Or somebody who doesn't work overtime. Like somebody who works in the office and is only there regular 9 to 5 and calls it a day.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so we have a couple stories that will probably get your blood boiling. So if we can cue up clip number 2, this is a very interesting story.
A young dancer visiting Houston ended up in handcuffs and in CPS custody this weekend. Now her parents are furious and blaming HPD. Rux Russell has a story only on KHOU 11 News.
Landry Thompson loves to dance. And the 13-year-old's dance instructor,
move, hit, boom,
get a kick out of it too.
It definitely is life to me, and it means a lot. It means everything to me.
It's why the trio from Oklahoma traveled to Houston in the first place, to spend the weekend dancing and training with some of the industry's best. But that dream of a visit took an ugly turn shortly after leaving the studio Saturday night, when the group, exhausted from their work, stopped off at this gas station.
We're on the GPS, trying to find out where the hotel is. I dozed off. He was still awake, figuring out where we're going to go.
They say before they knew it, the police showed up and surrounded the car.
I was kind of freaked out and surprised by it.
They just pulled us out of the car, put our hands behind our backs like we were criminals. He asked me, who's the girl? She's my student. I said, I have a notarized letter from her parents stating that I have full guardianship over her while we're here.
All 3 of them say they pleaded with the police who showed up here, repeatedly telling them their story, and that in the end, none of that seemed to matter.
They still put handcuffs on me, and it really scared me, and they just put me in the back of the cop car, and I was terrified.
Landry was taken to Child Protective Services. Her mom says she couldn't believe it when she found out.
I was horrified.
she was with the people I wanted her to be with. She was with people who were safe and who I knew would take care of her, yet they had taken her away from those people, and then now she was in the shelter or wherever she was with people I didn't know.
The mom claims she was told she'd have to fly to Houston to get her daughter out. But 11 hours later, following repeated phone calls to officials, Landry was released back into the custody of her instructors.
I would love an apology. They owe her an apology.
I'm just really upset by it, and it really scared me.
No, what we can't.
But not enough to stop her from dancing. And we've called police, but officials still aren't commenting about what happened. This group of dancers plans to return to Oklahoma Monday afternoon. Reporting downtown, Rux Russell, KHOU 11 News.
So they left out one important thing in that news story, is that the 13-year-old girl is a white girl and her instructors are black. So I think that probably played a big role in this. I don't know why they completely ignored that fact in this news story, though. Though I guess if you saw it, then...
Well, you can't portray the police officers as racist or anything. Come on.
Not in Texas.
No, couldn't do that.
I mean, that's just completely nuts that they treated them like criminals. Even though
look at their hats.
they had a notarized letter from the parents saying that they were this young girl's guardian for the weekend, and CPS arrested them, which is really messed up.
It's the baseball hats. I'm telling you right now.
I mean,
those aren't baseball hats; they're flat brimmed.
Well,
I mean, like the mom's like
you just strengthened the
they
point.
owe her an
Those hats,
apology. It's like,
totally
well, you owe the
criminal.
guys an apology as well, because that's the whole reason you arrested the lot of them to begin with.
That's right. Yep. A little bit of profiling there by the police. Oh, you got a flat bill hat. You must be a criminal. Then you're black.
Yeah.
Driving while
Done and
black,
said.
that's the offense.
Right.
Yep.
But it doesn't stop there in Houston, because we have another story of similar circumstances. So if we can play clip number 1.
Now to a developing story here in the city of Rochester. Unfair and out of line. That's what 3 teens are calling their recent arrest. And today those teens were in court to face a judge. Rochester police are accusing them of disorderly conduct. They claim the teens were obstructing the sidewalk on Main Street in downtown Rochester early Wednesday morning. But those teens say they were just waiting for the bus when police arrested them. Joangel Concepcion was in court today, and she joins us live in the newsroom with a reaction to this case. Joangel.
Well, Leah, these young men are considered star athletes at Edison Tech. Their families say they have never been in trouble before, and they shouldn't be in trouble now. The teens spent the morning in court today. Days after their arrest, they're still trying to make sense of what happened.
Yeah, because you just downtown, minding your own business. And next thing you know, anything can happen.
We tried to tell him that we was waiting for the bus, but we wasn't catching the city bus, we was catching the yellow bus. And he didn't care. He arrested us anyways.
Now, we received an email from Rochester police. They say early Wednesday morning, an officer witnessed several teens gathering in front of a store near North Clinton Ave and Main Street. Police claim they were blocking the sidewalk and the entrance to a store. They say they told the teens to leave several times, but according to the officer, the teens did not move from the area. The 3 were placed under arrest. They were supposed to be formally charged with 2 counts of disorderly conduct today, but the judge pushed their date to December 11th. The teens are sticking by their story. They were just waiting for the bus. They got a lot of support from family members today and even a member of the school board.
I'm very concerned about a pattern of young people, especially young people of color, being abused by police authority, and to me this seems like a very clear case, part of a pattern.
They're not bad kids, they're awesome boys, they all have good grades in school. I don't want them to be profiled at all.
It's a catastrophe. I mean, these young men were doing nothing wrong. They did exactly what they were supposed to do, and still and yet they get arrested.
Now, we were told police have received complaints in the past from the store owner about people loitering and fighting in front of the store, and that's one of the reasons why police say they were monitoring that area. Tonight, the teens are out on bail, and they're hoping the charges will be dropped at their next court date in less than 2 weeks. Joangel Concepcion, News 10, NBC.
All right, and of course, we will be tracking any developments in this story, and we'll be at that court appearance in a couple of weeks. Thank you, Joe Angel.
So there you go.
Yeah, this is crazy. From what I understand, from what I read from it was actually another article that had the same thing. Basically, it was talking about the fact that they weren't even in front of the store. They were actually like down the street from the store. So they obviously weren't blocking the store. Maybe the sidewalk, but not the store.
Right, and there's more in the article that wasn't included in the video, but they said that when they were getting handcuffed, their coach arrived and said that, that this is where they were supposed to wait, and this is where they were going to be picked up, and the cops threatened to arrest him as well. And the first thing that they said was that they had to, the cops are trying to get them to move along because they were loitering, which the cops need to look up the definition of loitering, because if you're waiting for a bus, you are not loitering. You are actively doing something to justify your presence in that particular location. So I have no idea what kind of trip these guys were on. And then, of course, the coach shows up and is like, you're arresting my athletes, and this is where they were supposed to wait for me. So,
well, yeah, you've got 3 teens who are standing waiting for a bus where some form of an adult had told them to wait for the big yellow bus. I think it comes down to the cop knew exactly who they were and had money on the game.
It's almost kind of funny that way.
Yeah,
nope, you guys
I don't
can't
think
win
they were
this
actually
game.
heading to a game though. So
no, it's ridiculous. It's just, yeah.
Well, the fact that they're actually having to go through and wait for a hearing, that the charges haven't been dropped on this, I mean, this is just a waste of taxpayers' money and time having to deal with all of this, because from the beginning, they didn't do anything wrong. No business owners come forward and been like, yeah, those are the kids that were standing in front of my business. It's just ludicrous.
No kidding. Who is the prosecutor in this? He should be the one we should be shaming upon as well, because these should have been dropped the second they hit his desk, and he should have been, don't bring this crap to me. This is bullshit.
He had money on the game, too.
Seems that way.
Shame
so
on
I guess
you.
we'll have an update on that hopefully next week.
Clever username.
We have our show that day, too. So we'll see.
This one.
That's
right here.
What's right here?
What? Oh, well, while the clip was playing, Anton made a good point to me about one of the comments in the on the story down below.
One of the comments on here was trying to steadfast with that they were arrested for loitering and not listening to the cop, and not for being black, quote unquote. And they were told to be there by an adult, and just because a cop tells you to do something, we all know it doesn't mean it's a just request or order that's being given to you. I mean, this commenter right now, I think, is going to find themselves in an interesting situation when one of these other cops show up and is all like, grab your ankles, I'm going in your butt. You have to do what I tell you to because I'm a cop. I mean, just because the cop says you can't stand here, the kids had just cause to stand their ground and be like, no, we're told to stand here, wait for this. This is part of our education, our curriculum. This is what we're supposed to be doing. I mean, by all rights, the kids should have looked at the cop and been like, go arrest a crackhead.
Yeah, no, it's just that the comment is just it's this guy is obviously a dumbass, dumbass, whatever you want to call him. He's like, don't turn this into a racial issue, and it's like, well, it's pretty blatantly obvious that it's a racial issue. Yeah. It's not just because they were standing there. No, it's 3 young black kids. That was the only reason you went up and harassed them, and you freaking know the fact that that's why it was.
What gets me is the comment that says, don't turn it into a racial issue, and then followed by another one, the linked story makes no mention of race whatsoever. However, the title of the article is 3 teens arrested for waiting while black. It starts off as a race issue. So where does the commenter get to turn around and be like, they didn't make it a race issue? Yes, they did.
Yeah.
All right. So, where do we want to go now?
I don't know. We got about a minute till break, so we don't want to go too far.
I guess we can't go anywhere.
When we come back from break, I think we should totally touch on the judge that sentences a police officer to 13 years in prison for fatal drunk driving crash.
Yes, we can definitely do that one. At least,
we finally have a judge who's willing to give a cop what he deserves as an average person.
Yeah, none of this 5 days in jail crap. So, we have to head to break, so stick with us. You're listening to the Cop Block Radio Show on FPRN.
In 1997, a high school shooting was stopped by a vice principal with a gun. In 1998, a middle school shooting was ended by a neighbor with a gun. In 2002, a terrorist attack was stopped by a school guard and a teacher with a gun. After September 11th, pilots began carrying guns to protect their passengers. Let's give our schools and teachers the same option. Sign the petition at defendschools.com.
Well, yeah, it's getting tough out there. Yeah, no doubt. I work in home invasions mostly. Some murder, occasional rape if she's hot, or really bitchy. And I'm a huge advocate of gun control, absolutely. Every time I kick in a door or smash a window, I face the possibility of being shot and killed. Allowing citizens to own guns creates a hostile work environment for me and my associates. No one should have to work under those conditions. I say make them all illegal, absolutely. I mean, I break the law for a living. I'm a professional, so it doesn't really bother me. No doubt. No doubt.
Your local violent criminals work hard and put their lives on the line every time they attempt to murder, rape, abduct, or assault a member of the citizenry. They desperately need your help. With your support, there may finally come a day when a violent criminal can have his way with you or someone you love without the fear, anxiety, and stress caused by knowing there's a possibility his victim might be armed. Please show your support by voting for stronger anti-gun legislation because criminals prefer unarmed citizens.
In every age, a technology is created that upends the foundations of society. The wheel, the printing press, the internet. Now, in a world sliding into financial chaos, a new technology is changing the way monetary systems work around the world. It is called Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a new form of money, controlled not by banks, governments, or corporations, but through mutual commerce between free individuals. To learn more, visit weusecoins.com.
Do you have a group or organization founded on the principles of personal liberty, health freedom, or accountable government? We invite you to check out Same Side Entertainment. Same Side is a source for activists and liberty organizations to connect with well-known leaders in today's growing movement for sustainable living, personal liberty, and sovereignty issues. Same Side has a variety of keynote speakers, debate panels, interactive web presentations, musicians, and liberty-based entertainment, as well as services for web design, graphic design, video, and photography. Same Side can help customize your event by connecting you to the best of the liberty and political world while staying within your budget. Get connected with leaders in the liberty movement like Tom Woods, Kevin Gutzman, Jack Hunter, Robert Scott Bell, Bob Murphy, Michael Scheuer, John Bush, Jordan Page, Tatiana Moroz, and many more. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and our website at www.samesideentertainment.com. Again, that's www.samesideentertainment.com. Same Side Entertainment, connecting you with the education and resources you need.
Get over to sonsoflibertymint.com right now. Secure your wealth by trading in those pesky Federal Reserve notes for Sons of Liberty Mint's fine silver quarters. These 1/4 ounce bars, square in shape and stamped "Trust in Yourself," are unlike any other traditional round. With 4 pieces per ounce, you'll not only be investing in sound money, but you'll also be purchasing usable, divisible silver. Don't get stuck with ferns or bulky silver bars. Visit sunsoflibertymint.com today and invest in silver you can use.
At Domari Nolo Outfitters, we view the outdoors as our home, not a harsh wilderness. Our gear is chosen for adventure, not just in our backyard, but in the vast expanse of our amazing planet. Damari Nolo Outfitters carries the essential gear and tools you will need to live the empowering mindset of self-reliance. Our products are chosen especially for their durability and quality and are carefully tested by our staff and associates. Our promise to you is we never offer any item for sale we don't use ourselves, so we can offer only what we know to be the best. Our online store makes it simple to browse through our high-quality lines of clothing, knives, tools, load carry gear, and accessories. We are committed to offering you the best American-made equipment on the market, a promise you'll see as we continually add new products. For more information about our products and blog posts to help you learn more about self-reliance and equipment, please visit www.damarinolo.com. That's DOMARI-NOLO.com. Damari Nolo, chosen for survival and adventure.
Thanks for listening to FPRN. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to start your own show with FPRN, advertise with us, or donate to the network or to your favorite shows, check out our website at www.fprnradio.com.
And welcome back to the Copblock Radio Show live on FPRN and syndicated across the interwebs. And I know I already did it earlier, but I'd still like to give a shout out to sonsoflibertymint.com, and that's SUNS of libertymint.com. You should check them out because silver is at $19 an ounce right now. So silver is low right now, so go buy. I forgot to mention that the last time I plugged them. Anybody else with me? Or am I talking to myself?
No, we like to let you
There we
talk
go.
to yourself. That's fine.
I haven't gotten on the silver bandwagon yet.
I like it more than Bitcoin.
I know. Bitcoin's at $1,000 and I don't fucking care.
Yep, I don't care.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I haven't gotten on the silver thing. I don't know. I don't know why. I've got some other things, but I never got into the precious metals.
Well, you'll have to start.
We'll think about it. I do think that if you want to purchase silver with Bitcoin, that Sons of Liberty will accommodate that.
Good stuff. to
Yeah,
know.
I don't know many places that would. So, I mean, now's a good time because if Bitcoin's up and silver's down, that's the time.
I would
Especially
say
if you
that-
bought low.
Yeah, I'd say that's a good idea. So, Anton wanted to talk about something right before we went to break.
Yeah.
Yep. I was just double checking the story. In Fort Wayne, Indiana, drunk ex-officer. Well, see, the title says ex-Indiana police officer, but the article doesn't say anything about being former. Well, there it is. Who killed a man and seriously injured two others while he was drunk driving. He crashed his police cruiser into two motorcycles that were stopped at a traffic light. And luckily, the judge decided to go with charging him as he would anybody else. Gives him 13 years. But his blood alcohol content was over 0.15, while legal limit in Indiana is 0.08.
So he is a little bit tipsy.
Just a little bit.
Tipsy. I'm surprised he wasn't driving the car from the passenger seat.
There was, and there was a victim, unlike a speeding ticket.
Yeah, he ended up killing a 30-year-old Eric Wells. However, I'm happy to see that he had been suspended without pay since 2010. So out of all the other stories you hear where everybody just gets paid to sit around and do nothing, he actually got cut loose. His quoted being said during his sentencing, "I am not the awful man I've been made out to be." Tell that to the guy you just murdered.
Yeah, tell that to that dude's wife or significant other or family, you dick.
Yeah.
Well, being a cop, I could see him be like, "Ma'am, I did you a favor. He was going to be abusive."
Yeah.
And then I'd
He
have to
told
shoot
me
your
before
dog.
I hit him that he doesn't hit you.
Pre-crime. Good old
I'd have to shoot
pre-crime.
your dog, yeah. No, it's nice to see. It's actually awesome to see finally an officer being prosecuted basically to the full extent of the law and actually deserving a real sentence that an average citizen would get instead of getting this lucky break and getting 5
months in
days,
protective care, and
500 hours of community service. He's actually going to spend some time in jail. I mean, this is what he's being sentenced with. I mean, we'll see if he stays in that long, but it's nice to see that at least it looks this way.
The prosecutors had originally asked for 22 years, while his attorneys asked for 10 to 11, with several suspended. I'm glad that the judge still went higher than what they were hoping for.
Definitely, yeah.
But the victim, Eric's wife, survivor, had was saying that they moved to Indiana to build a family, and he was planning on going to graduate school. And she's quoted saying that, I don't have my best friend. I don't have my husband. I couldn't build my life again. It'll never be the same. I mean, the cop has to deal with an inconvenience for 13 years while this lady is going to have to figure out how to pick up and continue on where they had left off. I mean, those are generally rock solid plans there. His mom asked the judge to give maximum sentence.
All right, so did you guys see the article I posted that was written on Police One about police militarization and the ethical, quote unquote, ethical warrior? The quotes are mine, but
No, but I'd totally like to look at that one.
Oh, right there.
Yeah.
Okay, that one. Yep.
Yeah, so Police One is a pro-policing site, and this article is so crazy. Basically defending the militarization of police and basically saying that it's a good thing. And
that's great.
one of the
For who?
Right, exactly. One of the section titles is "An unfair fight is safer for everyone."
How?
Exactly. He goes on to talk about, if the police are better equipped than the bad guys, then it's safer for the police and whatnot. Of course.
Where are they getting this whole even ideology from? It said fair fights are dangerous because both sides have reasonable belief they can win. Where are they getting this fight? Are we fighting them this hard? I don't think that I go out every day and try to beat up a police officer.
Well, it comes down to the same thing with riots. Who showed up dressed ready for a riot? Not the protesters or any of the people who've gathered there. The police show up looking for some action. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
It's like a freshman college kid on his 21st birthday at the bar. He showed up looking for something to go down.
Well, to get off this topic just for a second, did you see the picture of the riot police in Thailand?
Oh, I did.
Yes.
Laying down the shields and everything?
Yes. That was awesome.
Yes.
So
is that confirmed then or not? Because
there's photographs of it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that. I saw the picture. I saw one picture in one article, and it was just hopefully this is true.
Yeah, well, I did see from a couple reputable news agencies that it happened. So, I'd expect at this point that it has been confirmed. Trying to find another source here.
And then I got one more off of this topic back to our other topic here. Where are they getting this ideology that the police it has to be fair for them? Where does it say that they have to have the fair fight? I don't remember us giving them that clause to be like, oh, you guys can have whatever the hell you need to make it fair for you to kick our asses. I don't
mean
remember.
Unfair.
They're
It's
moving
an
in a
unfair
direction
fight
of
is safer for
supreme
everyone.
power unchallenged. That's what they're going for, is get everybody under the don't mess with the police. They have armor and military weapons and such. That's what they're trying to go for. I mean, I personally live by the if you find yourself in a fair fight, your tactics suck. But their tactics are being paid for out of our pockets to be used against us to empty the other pocket.
Right. There's a line in here that says because the quote unquote good guys have to win and there has to be a healthy margin of error. But it says, for example, during an arrest of a possibly violent subject, the last thing we want is a fair fight. We want the arrest to be lawful, safe, and respectful of the subject's civil rights. We don't want to give the subject the impression that escape through violent resistance is an option. We want the subject to instantly recognize that resistance is futile. And
We want them
surrender
to
peacefully.
instantly fear us and be scared shitless of us and not try to fight back.
That's pretty funny. The Borg say the same thing. And we've seen how well that works out.
Yeah, he seems to completely. He doesn't even touch on the instances where they use this military tactics and equipment on wrong house raids and end up killing innocent people. I think the level of militarization that they have and the level of weaponry that they have make them less concerned about getting things right. Because in this case, it doesn't matter if they're right or wrong. They have their tank and their machine guns, and they can do whatever they want, instead of making sure that they have the right house the first time. Now
Well, what they
just
don't
go in all
realize
willy-nilly
is, from
and
the
hope
criminal
that-
perspective, is you show up in a police cruiser and your regular uniform to arrest somebody, or you show up with 50 guys and armor and, airstrikes and everything, the same criminal is still going to run. No criminal is going to be all like, oh, hey, the police are here, my ride, I'm going to go do 30 years for whatever. Everybody's going to run. That's part of why they get paid so much, is because your job isn't safe. If it's going to be safe and nobody's going to resist, you get minimum wage.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a case of not caring anymore. They have no duty to make sure they're correct the first time, and now they can just do whatever they want.
Well, yeah, they become
they
more
do.
of a blunt force weapon than a precision instrument that investigates and actually does work.
Right. Nobody does police work anymore. They get it wrong so often that obviously somebody is not doing their job and figuring out what's going on first before they just go in and hope. That's basically what they do. They hope that something's going on instead of actually knowing that something's happened or a specific person is there. Like whatever happened to the stakeout to make sure that, yes, I saw the dude go into the house. He is definitely there. What happened to that? Or what happened to waiting outside the house, waiting for a guy to come out of the house to say, yep, that's him. Let's go get him. Instead of, well, there's a house. We think he might be in there, so let's bomb the shit out of it and hope he was.
Yeah, and if anybody dies, oh well.
Right.
That's okay.
If anybody dies, it won't be us because we got some sweet ass armor.
Right.
Right. Down in the article there, they say one point worth considering is that for years our military has been evolving counterinsurgency operations that are far less militarized than those employed in the past. And I think what he doesn't realize is that he's acknowledging that even our military believes that it needs to be toned down and not so militant for a better outcome in the situation.
Oh, don't tell them that. They won't like that.
Hey, they're the ones who said it. I'm just pointing out what they said.
The last line says, while Rambo might not be a great role model for today's law enforcement officer, the public has nothing to fear from well-trained tactical teams made up of motivated, ethical warriors.
I
My
sure as
foot.
fuck do.
Yeah. And does public include dogs?
Yeah. My dog is definitely afraid of them. I'm now afraid of them.
I don't like the idea. We were talking last week about those armored vehicles they're getting. I mean, they're not even safe for the road. So the public includes people, dogs, and roads. The roads don't like them. We don't like them. The only people excited are them.
I know when we had a Bearcat come to this town, one of the council people were caught on mic saying that we're going to have our own tank. Like, he didn't give a shit that everybody hated the thing coming here. And it was like 90% of the city was against having this. Yet they still voted to bring it in anyways. And then we had just a month or two ago in Concord, there were 48 people who spoke at the Bearcat hearings. 44 of them spoke against it, and 4 of them spoke for it. But all 4 of them had ties, were already in government or had ties to the government. And they still voted to accept the tank, even though it was by a huge margin that people were against it.
That went down just like, thanks for voting. We don't give a shit. We want an awesome tank.
Exactly.
You've
That's
already
exactly
voted.
what happened. Right.
We're here now.
Now, what were you saying, Scott?
I said, it's too late. We're already here now. We can do whatever we want.
Oh, you were saying something before that.
I don't know.
I don't know. You got walked over there a little bit.
Some smart-ass comment, I'm sure.
Let's see, what's left to talk about?
Can we talk about Iceland?
Sure.
So, Iceland had their first
police shooting fatality.
Yeah, like what the hell? First one, and they apologized for it. I guess the guy had some sort of, he had a gun in his apartment, and he was firing in a shotgun, and they tried to de-escalate the situation, and at some point, the man was killed, and I honestly believe that they are remorseful for it because this is not something that they have a history of doing. So, the police chief came out and he was like, police regret this incident and would like to extend our condolences to the family of the man. I think that he genuinely means that. They went 210 years of never killing anyone. No cop ever killed anyone.
And there is 30 firearms per 100 people in Iceland. So it's not like they have no guns there at all.
Right. It says Iceland enjoys a low crime rate unique to it, a unique product of its large, stable middle class, and its thorough screening requirement for gun permits, among other elements. It said that Iceland suffered 4 deaths as a result of firearms in 2009. In the U.S., there was 31,300. So it was basically one gun death per 100,000 in Iceland versus 10 in the U.S.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, people are talking about him being socialist and this and crap, blah, 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 stupid crap. But you can't deny the fact that they own guns and that the cops don't kill people there.
And they have respect for their fellow human being.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were just talking about that a few weeks ago, that the German police had only fired 89 shots at people, but 49 of them were warning shots, and only 15 people were killed. So it's and that was for the entire year of 2011.
Those all seem like daily statistics for any given city here.
I know, that sounds like New York City on a daily basis here.
Somebody, I don't know if they tweeted something out or what it was, but is either Detroit or Chicago, they were like, hey, congratulations, you went 36 whole hours without a murder.
It's probably Chicago, knowing them.
Yeah.
The one place you can't own guns.
Oh, crap, I forgot good news came out today in my neck of the woods. The Robin Hood of Keene lawsuits have been dismissed by the judge. The judge
Where's the applause?
The judge has told the city to fuck off.
Yep, they told the city to go fuck themselves.
So right now we have sources that are telling us that the city has spent somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000 already on the lawsuit, and that's not including the possibility of them appealing it to the New Hampshire State Supreme Court. So far, Robin Hood of Keene has saved at least $20,000 in parking tickets, and has also cost the city up to $25,000 just in lawyer fees for this past year, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Go
crap.
for it.
No, sorry, I lost my train of thought completely there. It just whoop, gone.
I thought I'd throw that out because we just found out this morning, so it was pretty cool.
That is awesome.
Could always post a link to that so everybody else could follow it.
Yeah, well, the decision's like 15 pages long. I read the whole thing. The judge was pretty much on our side the entire time, except for like the last paragraph where he's like, well, the city, can still put in a law to do something, but that's about it. But he still said that they should tread lightly if they do, because then they still might be implementing a law that's probably unconstitutional anyways. So it was an interesting read, to say the least. But it was great because the word "fucking" shows up like 6 times in the thing. So
is that that link you gave me earlier?
He had quoted people. So you probably don't see a whole lot of judgments that have swears in them all the time, which is great. It's pretty funny.
You gave me that earlier, didn't you? That link to that.
I put it on the Copblock Radio Show's Facebook page. I also put it on Copblock, and it's actually right on Copblock right now. It's right on the front page. The text and a write-up and link to trial videos and whatnot. So it is a victory so far, and it pretty much brings the city to lots of losses when they've tried to bring lawsuits or tried to actively do something against the activists here, because they had brought a smoke detector. They had raided the Keene Activity Center and claimed that it was a boarding house, but they never actually changed the status of it to be a boarding house. So they had the fire inspector still come in, and they had some smoking alarm violation or whatever, but the fire marshal isn't allowed into single family homes, which is what it was and still is classified as. So that has been tossed, and they were going to appeal it to the Supreme Court, but they missed the cutoff, so that didn't happen. And there's one other thing that they were actively trying to do, but I am now spacing on what it was. But the Robin Hood trial was the big one. So that has been dismissed, but we are awaiting to possibly see if they're going to appeal it or not.
Appeal it? Really?
Appeal it to the
How much
Supreme
money they
Court.
wasted?
They've already spent $25,000 on lawyer fees because they brought some quote unquote hotshot lawyers, even though they sucked. They were horrible. They were the worst lawyers ever. They were asking questions of their own clients that they didn't know the answer to already. Isn't that like lawyer 101? If you're asking questions of your own witness to know what they're going to say after you ask the question, they were asking questions they didn't know the answers to. It was hilarious.
So sad.
So that's where that stands. But we'll see. I mean, a couple of people had filed motions to intervene and get added to the lawsuit, but those got denied, and we weren't sure why. It could just be denied that he didn't want to let him in anyways. But since the whole case got dismissed. We'll see how it goes, because they were asking for money in the second one. The second one hadn't even started yet. But basically, if the first one got tossed, then the second one was moot.
Yeah.
But they might try to recoup some money, so we'll see. You never know. It's a city. They don't make rational decisions, especially if it's in the favor of the taxpayer. So that's all we have tonight for the Cop Block Radio Show. Be sure to join us next week, Wednesday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern at fprnradio.com. And until then, remember that badges don't grant extra rights.
Thanks for listening to FPRN. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. If you'd like to start your own show with FPRN, advertise with us, or donate to the network or to your favorite shows, check out our website at www.fprnradio.com.